Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Aditya, your social science expert at Masterminds. So, guys, this is the third session of French Revolution, Class 9 History, and in the next session, we will complete the chapter. That means four chapters of four sessions of French Revolution. So, today we are going to study about all the revolutionary wars that in the French Revolution, we are talking about which revolution? French Revolution. Where it was happening? In France. Okay. So फ्रांस के फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन में जितने भी वॉर्स हुए थे आज हम उन सब के बारे में बात करेंगे. So let us start off. So the situation in France continued to be tense for the following years, right? Although Louis XVI had signed the constitution, he entered into secret negotiations with the King of Prussia and Austria to send troops to put down the events that had been taking place. Before this could happen, the National Assembly in April 1792 declared war against Prussia and Russia. The French army song Marseillaise, song composed by the poet Roget de Vesley. The Marseillaise is now the national anthem of France. The revolutionary wars brought losses and economic difficulties to the people. Okay, have understood? Then comes the rise of new revolutionary ideas. So, while the men were busy fighting in the front, women were left to cope with the tasks of earning a living and cooking after their families. Large sections of population were convinced that the revolution had to be carried further, as Constitution of 1791 gave political rights only to richer sections of society. Political clubs became an important rallying point for people who wished to discuss the government policies. The most successful of these clubs was that of Jacobins under the leadership of Maximilien Robespierre, which got its name from the former convent of Saint Jacob in Paris. Okay, and this led to the formation of the Jacobin Club. Okay, what was the name? Jacobin Club. Who was the leader? Robespierre, Maximilien Robespierre. Then come the French Republic. France was established as a republic. So on 10 August 1792, the Jacobins stormed the palace of the Tuileries, massacred the king's guards, and held the king himself as hostage and later imprisoned the assembly. In the following elections, all men of 21 years and above, regardless of wealth, got the right to vote. Jacobins under Robespierre won elections. On 21 September 1792, Assembly abolished the monarchy and declared France a republic under Robespierre and renamed Assembly as Convention. New name of convention? General Assembly was convention. This is the important one mark question. On 21 January 1793, Louis XVI was guillotined publicly at the place de la Concorde on the charge of treason. The Queen Marie Antoinette met with the same fate shortly after. Robespierre's state policy. Now, what were the policy of Robespierre? So, Robespierre's government issued laws placing a Maximilian ceiling on wages and rationed meat. Peasants were forced to transport the grains to the cities and sell it at prices fixed by government. Expensive white flour was banned and all citizens were required to eat the bread made of whole wheat. Equality was also sought to be practiced through forms of speech and address. Instead of the traditional sir and madam, all French men and women were henceforth citoyen and citoyenne, citizen. Okay? The men were citoyen, they were called as citoyen. Citoyen, suppose my name is Aditya. So I will be called as Mr. Aditya in India, but in French it's citoyen Aditya, right? And citoyenne, women were called as citoyenne. In India, we call them as Miss or Mrs. Right? Churches were shut down and their buildings converted into barracks or offices. The building of churches were formed into or changed into offices. Then comes the reign of terror. Oh, sorry. The period from 1793 to 1794 is referred as to reign of terror. Examples: nobles and clergy, members of other political parties, even members of his own party who did not agree with Robespierre's methods were arrested. imprisoned and then tried with the Revolutionary Tribunal. If found guilty, were guillotined, named after Dr. Guillotine who invented it. Robespierre pursued his policies so relentlessly that even his supporters began to demand moderation. Finally, Robespierre was convicted by court in July 1794, arrested, and on the next day sent to the guillotine. Rule of Directory. This is the last topic for today. So we are doing sessions very small so that you can learn them very easily, understand the concepts, and it should not take your internet also, right? These are the important things which we keep in mind. So, rule of directory now. So, the fall of the Jacobin government allowed the wealthier middle class to seize power. A new constitution was introduced which denied vote to non-property sections of society. It provided for two elected legislative councils. These then appointed a directory and executive made up of 5 members. This was meant as a safeguard against the concentration of power in a one-man executive as under the Jacobins. However, the director often clashed with the legislative councils who then sought to dismiss them. The political instability of the directory paved the way for the rise of military dictator Napoleon Bonaparte. This is a very important 5 mark question, 4 to 5 mark question that explain the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. Then rule of Napoleon in the next session. And yes, in the next session, the chapter is going to be fully completed. And I hope all of you have joined the Telegram group and channel. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Signing off. This is Aditya, your social science expert.